Here's an entirely unreasonable thing that bothers me. When you're texting a girl who happens to have a boyfriend you don't know, for whatever reason, maybe you're just friends, or maybe you're waiting for the relationship to crumble, or maybe you're just bored, whatever the reason, the phenomenon is the same, but you're texting this unavailable person, and they mention their boyfriend by name, even though you've never met this person and never will. My biological systems react negatively to hearing somebody's random ass boyfriend's name. Yeah, me and Jason are just watching a show right now. Who the fuck is Jason? Like, I don't know this guy. Just say my boyfriend. Why are you acting like he's a real person who has life experiences? Are me and him gonna hang out? Is he gonna send me a greeting card? What's his birthday and astrology sign while you're at it? It's worse when they use a nickname. That's just invasive. Yeah, I'm at dinner with Jason's parents. Ew, I'm not part of this familiarity you've got going on over there. When someone refers to their significant other by a nickname in my vicinity, it feels like I'm watching them make out or something. Like, please wait to express your intimacy with this person when I'm not involved in the conversation. And God forbid you go beyond nickname and reach pet name territory in front of me. Yeah, I'm so bored. My baby's still at work. Was I just molested? I think I just had 9 shots of the worst alcohol because I need to bruise the back of my throat blowing chunks into the toilet. This all holds true in regard to dudes talking about their girlfriends too. Basically, anyone I'll never know doesn't get a name. Your boyfriend is a boyfriend. He is identified purely by his title and function. Same with your best friend I'll never meet, your dad I'll never shoot the breeze with, your great aunt who's dead, your ancestors. None of these people need names as far as our conversations are concerned. It's a cold, nameless world out there. Everyone in your life is a silhouette to me until further notice. Our culture has changed so much in regard to dating and friendships, hookups, like it's just absolutely impossible to know where you stand with anyone anymore. In the old days, you'd hear stories where the guy's like, man, I think I'm in love with my best friend, but I'm scared to tell her. We've known each other for almost a decade and nothing's ever happened, but I just get this feeling when I'm around her, you know? The modern version of that story is, well, I've been having casual sex with this girl for 8 months, but I don't think she even likes me. It's fun to be inside her, but if I bought her 2 movie tickets, she'd probably take someone else. I think I'm listed in her phone as Kyle number 2. That's normal now. You can be unsure if someone has feelings for you while you're both mid-orgasm. You can be scared to ask someone on a date because it might ruin all the sex you're having. And we're all just supposed to roll with that? Like this is the order of operations for human connection? Meet someone, bang, and then see if you like them? You have the individual liberty to do whatever you want and interact with whoever, however you so choose. But when I think of a sustained period of someone's life just kind of rifling through sexual partners and judging them through those interactions, it seems bleak. By the way, how can we think it's weird for dogs to sniff each other's buttholes at first glance when that's literally what hookup culture is? You see someone at a bar, you size them up, and if things go as planned, your nose is gonna get pretty darn close to each other's buttholes. If the smell seems off, you're gonna use that to help judge whether or not you should see this person again. You're a dog. You're an actual dog. Actually sniffing ass as soon as you meet someone, and then going about the rest of your week like you're not engaged in some absurd dog-like behavior is so weird. If courtship is a 10-step program, I've been a part of some human interactions where we started on step 9 and worked our way backwards, and I'm talking pre-YouTube because it works a little different when the girls you start talking to are already familiar with you from something, but it feels like using a level select option in a game you haven't played any of yet. You're seeing broken pieces of a narrative out of context interspersed with blacked out silhouettes of details you skipped. You're arriving at certain milestones with no previous context or build up to support the achievement, and you know you made it to the end, but you don't know why you should care that you did. It doesn't seem as important as it might have otherwise, and what could have been a moment of celebration and clarity just becomes a blip in your timeline. I think you can be a caring person who values people and still participate in hookup culture, but I don't think those actions reflect your disposition. A piece of meat is a piece of meat, and if that's what you use someone for, then you're someone who uses people that way, and no self-justifications of your underlying beliefs can prevent your actions from betraying you. It also means other people are using you that way. It takes 2 pieces of meat to make a double Whopper from Burger King, and in this case you can't eat without being eaten yourself. Of course, being eaten is probably some of yours' goal to begin with, and then when it's your turn to eat, you're like, I'm tired, I'm gonna go. There's a prevailing attitude toward relationships now that's associated with the hookup culture mindset, and they seem to think you should just mess around with random people until you accidentally find the right one, without ever thinking about where things are going until you've invested ample time in someone. Like, they want you to meet someone, spend a lot of time with them with 0 strings attached, and then start to wonder where things could go in the future. That sounds like a great recipe for a waste of time. These are the same people who write tweets like, I've been dating this guy for 7 months and he just asked me why I don't have a boyfriend. And all the replies are like, haha, that's so relatable. Damn, I wonder if it's because you all believe shit like this, where it's apparently common courtesy to ask nothing of each other forever until you both move on. Like, was that something? Were we doing something there? Where did these 6 weeks go? And before you go, well, if it didn't work out, then it wasn't meant to be. Well, maybe it wasn't meant to be because you both forgot to mean it to be anything. Or you're both so terrified of disrupting the casual purgatory you're being taught to operate in that time just runs out. Neither of you know what the other is thinking, and neither of you want to be the one that takes a chance on something more because being in purgatory is considered cool, and as soon as you try and opt for something more meaningful, people think you're desperate or a weirdo. Commitment is a dirty word, monogamy is a dirty word, and sacrifices vanish from the lexicon entirely, because as soon as you try to consolidate your relationship and prevent people from sleeping around, they act like you're trying to violate a constitutional amendment. Some people don't want to sacrifice anything. They want to keep one foot firmly out the door, gaslight you about its location, and promise they won't jump through the window they're also adamant about keeping open. So many people are like that, and they don't even think they are. They think 2 people with an ace up their sleeve can build trust at a poker table. They think 2 just-in-case mentalities can forge an unbreakable bond. Do you have my back, or is it in your rear-view mirror? How can I know unless you prove your commitment by making some kind of sacrifice? Something you do at your own expense that shows you're in it, not just when it's expedient. And if you don't want to reach that point with somebody, that's fine, but you better be on the same page and crystal clear about it, and that's why you have that conversation relatively early instead of leaving people in a fog of uncertainty for months. If you don't want to set unreasonable expectations, you need to set reasonable ones. I'm not telling you to show up on the first date with a bloody knife and severed pinky like, I did this to show you my loyalty, now it's your turn, but these days first dates are occurring 9 months into a sexual relationship, so I don't know how the fuck to navigate that timeline. People act like you can divorce meaning from sex, and you can, but it takes a whole lot of emotional deadening to pull off, like an unhealthy amount. Like if you can do it, there's something wrong with you. Sex is inherently an act of trust, and that kind of trust between people builds a bond. The 2 of you are at your most vulnerable, trusting each other not to take advantage or rape, revealing the entirety of your bodies to each other and any physical insecurities that go along with that, risking sexually transmitted disease or pregnancy, becoming the target of gossip, having your performance judged and discussed later among their friends. The act of sex is literally pushing through an entire collection of fears and anxieties alongside someone who is also pushing through those fears and anxieties. It takes a lot of mental gymnastics and reductionism to ignore that and view it as not a big deal. It's a big deal, and it should start over at the peak of being a big deal every time you do it with somebody new. People have different designations for what a person they're interacting with is for. If you meet someone, you get some kind of vibe from them, and you mull it over and arrive at some conclusion or another, like, oh, this person could really be someone special, or this person might just be fun when I'm bored, or this person's not really for me, I'm going to attempt to ghost them and see if they let me, and if they do, then fine, but if they don't, I'll wait a week and try it again. In my view, it is okay to engage in casual whatevers with people you have no intention of starting a relationship with, but as you continue down that path with the same person, as time goes on, you're going to get more and more comfortable with them. They're going to start making you feel safe. You're going to get familiar in other ways, and oftentimes your heart will get accustomed to the security this person brings and tell you to settle for them. They haven't become special, but they've remained comfortable to the point where exiting things would be more of a jolt than advancing them. Because what changes when you move from a casual thing to a romantic thing? You do non-sexual activities more, and that's about it. Go to restaurants, see movies, and then probably still have sex before and or after those things. The dynamic is not that different. You've been into this routine, and you want to carry on the routine. It's much easier to continue stuff with one person than start over with another, even if the potential could be greater with someone else. People will willingly settle if it's less risky than finding something else, and that contributes to people's uncertainty about where they actually stand during those interactions. Am I special or just familiar? Do I bring something to the table, or am I just the table? In conclusion, it is my personal belief that the casualization of sexual activities has lowered the ceiling for interpersonal fulfillment, but if you're operating well below the ceiling anyway and have no inclination to rise above what you're currently doing, then I guess it doesn't matter to you. This isn't an abstinence talk, do whatever you want, But I do think there's something to be said for meeting someone, going out with them, enjoying their company, building some anticipation in a romantic context, and then eventually sealing the deal, as opposed to just the Tinder norm of like, hey, wanna bang, and then have more questions than answers and probably just discard each other. In my career, I've had both situations, and while the second one can still be fun, and I probably wouldn't turn it down, it is starting to have that sort of colorless atmosphere around it a little. Just be self-aware, or you might find yourself slipping into a coma of emotional nihilism, and that's not good for you or the people you're with. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino, and I will see you guys next time.